Studios, episode 2, bringing in Lamar Wilkinson, RSI Industrial, right?
RS Industrial Arts. Thanks for having me, Kevin Massey.
Man, I've known you for years, but half of that you've probably been in the sign business, right? Tell me about how you got started, what got you into it, and
I love the space here. I like what you've done. It's a
thank
whole lot
you.
of fun.
Thank you. It's a cozy space.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be comfortable.
Yep.
I got into the sign business about 10 years ago, just over. I was doing the swimming pool industry. One of my mom's friends, hey, I'm in the sign business, want a job.
Yeah.
Started off on the ground floor. 10 years later, here I am.
Nice.
It's been a lot of fun, a lot of challenges, but it's what I like to do.
I mean, and just like, in being, around you and just learning about it, I mean, it's not just the sign there. I mean, it's some of the work, when we're driving around on a lot of these road trips or just cruising the city, you're like, I did that one. But what really caught me was, the memorials or the monuments, I think was what you call them, like entries to neighborhoods, which I'm in Katy, so it's booming, right? And
yes.
These entries to these, I mean, that's you, right? I mean, as far as the planning process and everything, you're directly involved.
The entries are a big part of our business, and one of the things about the firm I'm at now, RS Industrial Arts, it was real important to the founders to not have sign in our company name, because we're a whole lot more than that.
Sure.
The signage industry as a whole encompasses a whole lot of different industries: banners, car wraps, retail, real estate, billboards,
flyers.
Flyers.
I mean, everything, right?
A lot of print, a lot of different avenues in there, and our focus with RS Industrial Arts is on the custom fabrication side. So we don't like to limit ourselves to signs. We think of them with our neighborhood entryways. There's a sign, there's architectural elements to it, whether there's the graphics and the copy. There's also the archways, the decorative elements, and it's really neat starting with an idea on somebody's head or transferring it to paper, converting it from an idea until the final product. I think is
it's a journey.
Yeah, and that's probably something I like about it the most. You know? And driving by the signs, wife, at least every once a vacation, I get hit on the shoulder. Quit looking at signs, watch the road.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. But I mean, and that's part of our conversation is the whole journey of that, and then also understanding. I mean, it's an extension of their marketing, and then the impact that it has, and that's kind of the first decision you make when you're starting a business, because I later want to touch on like the permit processing and like how long that takes. So you can educate a lot of our viewers of, why start first on that and the importance of and seeing, you're ready to open your doors and you don't have your sign. I mean, you kind of, you shot yourself in the foot, right? Tell me a little bit about the company, why you wanted to go there. I loved when you spoke about how they didn't have signs in their name. And that was kind of, I remember listening to, some of your past stories of where you were frustrated from like the creative, like inhibitants that you had, because you kind of were pulled to this sector, right? If you will. I mean, you love doing the custom stuff.
That's right on. Previous firms I've worked at, they did a little bit of the custom signs, but a lot of their focus was on
cookie
copy
cutter,
and paste, quick service restaurants. Let's get an assembly line and go. And sometimes that business model doesn't always jive with the custom fabrication side of the business.
Lowest price wins, and now you're just a commodity. You're not selling value. I mean, and that's those are the partnerships that you were looking for, right?
Exactly. I was also pulled there by my customers, because my customers are looking for what we're offering at RS Industrial Arts. Started in the beginning, it's an idea on some paper, or if, say it's your business, hey, I need my logo. How are we going to start our branding? And the signage is an extension of the branding.
100%.
That is I think more important part than most people realize.
Yeah.
On the retail side, it's important for different reasons. They say that 50% of customers are drawn to a retail business in part because of the signage.
I can see that totally.
Some of the other avenues or industries you wouldn't think of, multifamily, hospitals, and the signage that goes into those big developments. There's your typical exterior signage, but a lot of people forget about the wayfinding and direction signage on the campuses. And then in the state of Texas and all states, we have America's with Disabilities Act.
Yeah.
So all of your interior plaques, they all have to be ADA compliant.
Got it. Those are things that let's be honest. I mean, it's almost your job to educate them of that when they're going into this, because, you know, you're the business owner, you're good at what you do. You're not thinking about all those nuances that go behind it that really do take time.
And on that note, that's a lot of what we do on the creative side on the front end. We get an idea, a vision, a concept, their existing branding. We'll consult with their consulting architect, engineer, graphic designer to take their vision and make it real.
Do you guys do that from beginning to end? I mean, are y'all, I guess, essentially a one-stop shop, or do you outsource any of those levels that you had just mentioned as far as like the design, the architectural engineering, code compliance, et cetera?
You know, it varies on the industry and the sign, but the majority of our signs are going to start from a design build focus.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that's something that we have a dedicated team of graphic designers, your customer account manager, your customer rep, working with the individual client to put that together, put it on paper. And that's usually how we start. We take the idea, we put it on paper with our graphic designers. A good example of this is
show me something. I know you brought some. As far as like, I mean, would this be just like an example of like what a 50 by 50 foot monument would look like? Or?
So this sign, upon completion, will be 12 foot by 12 foot.
Okay.
And it will be the big highlight of the entry. Next door to it will be the letters and the monument.
Got it.
But this is how we started with the architects and the developers. They said, man, we like this concept idea. We put it on paper. We said, man, we want to see something in real life. So we made a kind of a miniature
like a micro model, yeah.
And the neat thing about this one, although it seems pretty simple, just this mock-up and sign really involve a lot of different processes that come together to make the look. You know, we start with a piece of acrylic.
Okay.
We get their branding and their logo. We have all their colors and their designs, and we do a digital print.
Got it.
We apply it to this plastic backer, and then we take our metal aluminum face and we route out the other part of their branding.
Got it.
And we combine them together for the look. Now, this final product is going to be internally illuminated.
Yeah.
And really be a key focus on the entry to the neighborhood.
Sure.
And a lot of developers and architects are kind of going through the same sort of process, and same with what a lot of small business owners would do too.
Sure.
And being able to provide these mock-ups and go through a workup really lets people know what their final product's going to be and make sure it aligns with what message they're trying to project.
Well, I mean, 100%, and that seems like that's kind of like the extra step that you guys go to differentiate yourselves. But the process, it can be daunting and overwhelming. But for you guys, it's what you're doing every day. At what stage? I think this is a good question. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but at what stage do you see these developers or business owners come to you? And on average, how many do you see are already behind the eight ball?
Man, that's a good question, because I wish we could have everyone in advance, like the example I just showed you. So we'll see it on all stages. I would say the majority of the times we'll see it after it's gone out to bid, 60%.
Okay.
The other 40% we'll know about it. We'll have consulted with the architect, developer, or owner beforehand. A lot of times when we see them a little later, they have a pretty good idea of what they want.
Okay.
Or it's a duplicate that we've already done or seen, and we can work from that angle.
So it's like, say, okay, here I am. I've gotten my certificate of occupancy. I've had the marshal out. And I'm referencing businesses of that I've had experience in, like building out a neighborhood and stuff. That's you can speak better to it than I. But this most recent one, the studio that I'm launching, with the sign permitting and all that. Obviously, the community HOA had their preferred, and it was like, give us this process, so on and so forth. Dude, funny enough, I'd occupied the place for almost 45 days while construction was going, before I even had the signage like ready to go. The approval process, revisions, stuff like that. Essentially just circling back to, I think the general public just doesn't put the enormity and value on what signs can do for their business, how it's their first impression of their business, and then also time to deliver that product to the business. They're penalizing themselves. Whereas, I mean, you can educate, tell them like, this is the stage you need to be in. Here's what you need to expect.
And you're right. A lot of business owners underestimate the lead times and what goes into getting a sign. As soon as you can get your branding, you want to start consulting with your sign guy, because there's from the design approvals process, similar to the mock-up here.
Yeah,
they want to get in early so we can have time to do these mock-ups, so they really know what they're getting is matching what they want. So I would say as soon as you get your branding and you sign your lease, even before that, you want to start consulting with your sign guy. The usual timeline for it is going to be a couple weeks to come up with some designs that you like, approval process. If permitting is required, you got to submit for permitting before you can start manufacturing, in case you don't get the permit.
Exactly.
So permitting, depending on the jurisdiction, is going to take anywhere from 7 days to a month.
A month. And what counties do you see? You're a local guy. I mean, obviously you've operated all over Texas because of current life, past life. But like, what counties do you see trending to be longer, and then what counties do you see moving quicker? Or is it the onus of what and how you deliver it as the business to make it go faster?
I think some experience comes into the permitting process. Generally speaking, the larger municipalities or cities are harder to work with.
Okay.
You go to a smaller city like Stafford, they're going to say, no, you can't do it like that, but you can do it like this.
They'll coach you.
Yes, they want your business. They want to help you. You go to a city of Houston, you get a stamped with a no, revise, resubmit,
no feedback whatsoever.
And then it's $160 just to apply each time.
Man. So that can be costly.
Yes.
Whereas, a company like RS Industrial, I mean, you guys can kind of give it the concierge level approach, where you're doing all that difficult, all that time consuming. I mean, you're giving them the white glove approach essentially with the sign process. So whereas if they save, I'm a big proponent of time is money, right? And they save an hour, but they save $20, they're valuing themselves an hour, $20 an hour, right? Whereas you guys could save them days, and if you're only $20 more, I mean, put the pen to the paper, right? How do you guys go in and kind of just sell that all-encompassing package? And is that y'all's approach? I mean, is that what y'all are shooting for?
That's what we're shooting for on most opportunities. We're looking to collaborate with the client and use all the tools we have to give them something unique that showcases their business. We are a turnkey solution with custom sign fabrication. Just like anything that's custom, there are going to be certain lead times with certain products and certain options that you want to go with. So, going back to as soon as you get your branding for your business, you want to start thinking about your signage.
Yeah.
There's lots of different other marketing avenues. With the signage, you're really getting a long-term marketing vehicle.
Correct.
For an upfront price.
I like the way you put that. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
With a lot of larger signs for retail, town centers, we'll oftentimes do traffic studies. hey, this owner says, man, I got this restaurant. I want to put a new sign up, but I'm spending this much a month on the billboard.
Yeah.
Well, 2 months of the billboard, you could have a huge permanent sign in front of your business.
Permanently.
Permanently. With, it may require a little bit of service, but the average lifespan for the lighting with LEDs these days is somewhere around 10 years. So
The lifespan on it, like LED backlit signs, 10 years.
all of our products are LED products are warranted for 5 years.
Wow. Okay. And that just it's consulting specialists, and I'm always a big proponent of, and I'm going to go with somebody that knows what they're doing versus cutting corners, cutting costs, because man, you're spending more money fixing your mistake or your original decision half the time, or more times than not, right?
And time and money with those repairs.
Yeah.
And the reflection from the casual observer on your business. Hey, what's going on with their sign?
Yeah.
If they can't get their sign going right, how can I trust them with my business? The neat thing about the sign business is we're a trade. We're an on-premise electrical sign contractor. We're a master license holder with the state of Texas, which allows us to manufacture and install signs.
So that's what it entails, is giving you both facets of that process.
Manufacture and install electrical signs.
Okay, gotcha.
The other trades, they're licensed like in Texas, plumbers, electricians.
Okay.
We're similar to those. We have journeymen, apprentices, masters.
Really?
But what differentiates us from there is we also do the manufacturing. Most of those are service. They're buying all their products off the shelf.
Subcontracting. Yeah, okay.
And we're manufacturing. And the neat thing about our manufacturing, like this example I showed earlier, is it's using a whole lot of different trades, if you will, or different specialty labor types to make it. For this one, for example, we have to have metal fabricators to cut out and operate the CNC machines. We have to have vinyl and graphics guy to do the digital prints and applications. We have to have fabricators to weld it all together, and then we have to have paint department to prep, prime, and paint. And then we have a final assembly, and then we have an install team. So it's kind of neat. It's I think it's
doesn't sound
unique.
cheap to operate.
There's a lot of moving parts, but another fun thing about it that I like is that we really have the ability to create anything. With our talent and the different specialties that go into making them.
So did RS Industrial, did they start in the sign industry, or were they more of a trade or a service provider in the sign industry that because you just said y'all have like beginning to end facets. I mean, that does not sound it doesn't sound inexpensive to get going in that arena, because that equipment, I mean, you're right out of the gate, right? So did they start out as kind of like a specialist in the industry doing something, or did they just come in guns blazing? I mean, as far as, ready and a big player with all that equipment?
Well, our founders started the company about 4 years ago, and before that, they worked in different facets of the sign business.
Okay.
And like me, they also gravitated to the custom sign manufacturing side of the business. And that's, I think, what led. So I guess to answer your question, they kind of assembled an all-star team.
Nice.
About 4 years ago, and put the whole thing together. And in the last 4 years, we've actually doubled our size, expanded, added paint booths. Because, like you said, it is a a lot.
The cost of admission ain't cheap, brother.
Yeah, there's a lot of little pieces that cost a lot. The CNC machines, the welders, the paint booths.
And then the people that run those things, those are skilled roles, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's, I mean, like you just said, they curated an all-star team. So collectively, I mean, between yourself, let's just start right there. Yourself and the two owners. I mean, how many years of experience do you have under your belt, but just collectively between the three of you?
I'd say I have 10 plus years, and our founders have 20 plus years each. So just us three alone, we're looking around 50 years.
Wow.
I think we boast on our website that we have 500 years of experience in the building.
Collectively with those trades and those specialists and all that. And I mean, coming from someone myself where I've worked big, large corporate, and I've worked, startups or family owned, if you will. We always see that things get done quicker when you have everything in house, right? So you guys, I mean, you can capitalize on that, right? I mean, you know that you can go and walk across the property to talk to the CNC guy and get a true update to keep your customers. But more importantly, I mean, I was in sales, you're in sales. It's an easier job to do when you know you can put your word behind your statement or what you were told, because you have visibility of that workflow that's necessary for you to perform your tasks.
Oh yeah, customers love some progress pics. I don't like to be left by the wayside. And that's a great point, because I literally do that on a daily basis. Man, I'm working on this project. Let me go talk to Juanito and Fab. Let me go talk to Josue and graphics. Let me go rap with the graphic designers and see what we're doing and how we want to do this. A lot of individual specialties go into it. I wish we had them all. There's some stuff that, for example, we can get glass or glazers. That may not be the best example, but there's some specialty items that we just can't do in house because it's too much. We don't have enough room for it, or we don't use it enough to justify bring it in house.
It's one of those one-offs,
right? But having the having that experience in the building and being able to talk to those guys in the middle of the project, because that's one of the challenges of the custom signs or architectural products is you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes I say the sign business has a little bit of Murphy's Law to it. What can go wrong will go wrong.
Sure.
So you have to, that experience, helps us get out in front of it. Another thing to take into account is a lot of times, the signs can be an afterthought, or the signs are the last thing to go up after a build out or construction.
Yeah.
So the nature of the sign business is when the people are finally ready for the signs, they've been wanting the signs for a lot longer than they've been ready to install them. 100%. Signs may be ready, but the site's not ready. The building's being constructed. We got to do landscape irrigation, concrete.
You can't ever time it perfect.
Exactly.
So check it off the list, get it done, and it can wait. So I mean, that brings up a great point that I had in my notes, just to talk about signage impacts. I mean, perception and profitability, right? So, discuss how signage, the quality, impacts the perception of a business or an organization.
I think the easiest way to do that is when everybody drives home today, they can look down the road and there may be a sign that doesn't stick out. That's kind of average. There may be some that stick out as great. And always there's a few that you look at and you're like, oh, man. That's just doesn't look, it's
in a good way or a bad way.
It's dented, it just looks cheap.
Yeah.
And, being such a focal point of your business and people driving by and seeing that really reflects the organization, excuse me.
It's a direct representation of the organization.
Yeah. If you're making a great quality service or product, you want to represent that with a really nice quality sign.
Exactly.
If people see something otherwise, they may think that reflects on your business itself.
Lamborghini dealership's not going to have one of those temporary banners taped to their doors, right?
Yes, and that's a great example because all the high-end car dealerships have, for the most part, awesome-looking signs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so statistic-wise, I mean, looking at that and like you see, the first thing that you said, you were like, yeah, if you look at those high-end dealerships, it's not like they're just complicated or they're outlandish or larger. They're just perfect.
Yes, they are. And a lot of the stuff that goes into that is some of the strategies and things that we try to attack on the front end. Your contrasting colors. How's that going to make it pop? Some strategic placement.
Yep.
Illumination. The illumination, that's a big one for us because
now, you know what? Can I talk about illumination real quick? Because I look at signs now, and if I see dots, I'm like, oh, that sign's trash.
The hot spots.
yeah, hot spots. Thank you. I mean, and it's funny because like now that you mentioned that, now I can't get that out of my head, and so it's not like I'm being judgmental. I'm just saying they could have, alleviated or a perception just so easily by just preparing and not cutting corners. So if I see something like that, and then I say, all right, well, I'm putting my trust in them as a business. They're cutting corners on my first impression. What are they going to do to me as a customer, right? So those things, as far as like when you're talking with your customer, the types of signs, educate me on some of those. I mean, because not only are they going to have exterior signs, I mean, there's going to be interior. You were talking about a campus earlier, and I know you brought some references, but like stuff like that, I didn't even know that was kind of your wheelhouse. Larger properties, there's points and waypoints and all that. So let's just walk through the whole gamut of every type of sign and educate us a little bit about each one to probably create some awareness to people that may not even know that they need those at their own business.
I thank you for mentioning that. I got some pretty neat little samples we fabricate these we call it our graphics department, our interior division. And you'll see signs like this in just about every hospital or school or business you go into. The neat thing about these, they're pretty basic signs at face value. And we try to go out of our way to give them some uniqueness and creativity with the different materials. We have acrylics, different colors. We have our copy on top. This is all restroom signs require ADA, so we can do the braille in-house. So these are just some examples of I think these are offices, children's computer lab.
And I mean, they typically stick to their font pack and their colorways when they do that.
Yeah,
right?
we incorporate their branding colors into these signs and try to use some unique custom materials like this. These orange plastics and nice pastels are real popular right now.
Sure.
Some of our other items. This is an architectural product we do a lot of for businesses and neighborhoods. We're some custom address numerals.
So that's like what was the machine that uses and does that?
So yeah, this is a piece of aluminum and it's routed out with the CNC router.
CNC, thank you.
We could also use our water jet router for that. We have that. And then on the back, we cut out some plastic to give it some depth.
Nice.
And color behind it. And then we stand it off on usually a brick or masonry surface.
Okay.
For certain neighborhoods, they want to have all of their custom address labels to have a certain theme per the subdivisions.
Correct.
We're doing one on the west side, no names to be mentioned, but they'll have one neighborhood has a turtle. And three numbers. The other branch of the subdivision has a butterfly. So the developers like to break up the neighborhood into different subdivisions with different themes, colors, and we can do that too.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, that's what's massive. I mean, like those kind of jobs are wherever new construction is, right? But I mean, as far as those relationships, I mean, you've cultivated some that have been long lasting and that you've carried over from company to company, right?
Yes. Getting in, when I first got in the business, we did a little bit of this and I gravitated towards the landscape architects and the developers, started doing a lunch and learn, PowerPoint, bringing all of the samples for the creatives that are putting these ideas together and the branding.
They've always got something in the hopper, so they need ideas.
They're always working on something, and they always want to do something that is almost impossible, which we look at as a challenge. Let's take this idea and use our means and methods to bring it to life.
Yep.
This is just another interior we do. This is for a hospital group. This one's kind of neat because it actually has Velcro on the back, so they can take it down, remove it if they want to move this particular item from they move them around the building based off their recommendations from
Crash Cart. I don't know if I'd be wanting to look for that.
No, you don't want this one, man.
That one's not a fun one, but a very, very necessary one, right?
You got to find the defib.
Oh, goodness.
Here's a couple more little guys I brought, which this is a demo we use a lot with customers. I actually had some guys in last week to the shop.
Okay.
They're working on, it's a nice financial services company in the Woodlands, and they really want some lobby signage and conference
interior
room
signage, yeah.
Right. They want some lobby interior signage. This would be rated for exterior as well, but this is a good example to show a basic
Oh,
box
turn that
sign.
around. Turn that around.
So behind it, you got your LEDs,
Okay.
and they're facing forward.
Yeah.
And then we would illuminate this. So this is a plastic shoulder cut letter.
Okay.
That we call this a route and push through. And what this does is it gives you some dimensionality.
Correct.
This is the higher price point. Looks really cool.
Oh, for sure.
You'll see it I'm trying to think of some nice restaurants, but
Like restaurants, receptions for nice, like law firms, doctor's office, legal, like all that stuff. So that's a different like depth, right?
So
we've
same
got-
concept with the
Yeah.
box sign, cabinet sign, except this is routed and backed. So
Okay.
you don't get the dimensionality of the push through.
Got it.
And we show these alongside each other.
Sure, sure.
So the customer kind of sees what they're getting. You're gonna get a lot. I think you're gonna get a lot more depth out of this one. There's also different applications. If this sign was on a roof 10 stories high, you'd go with the lower price point option because nobody's gonna be able to see that. But you come in your lobby,
You want
to
that.
showcase it, draw some eyes to it. You definitely want that routed push through for the detail.
100%. So as far as like trends and like the industry, you're looking at that. You're looking at like the CNC and all this. I mean, obviously everything kind of has their phases and whatnot. What's super hot right now for like a interior reception area for a Class A 5-star building that you would see right now? Is it more of like the metal floating or with backlights, or is it more of like those illuminated?
I would say a lot of it is the routed push through. There's
Routed
a lot
push-through.
of mirror and polish finishes right now.
Okay,
Now, depending on your branding, it
Yeah.
may not work with that.
that makes sense.
Everybody's wanting to illuminate stuff now to
Yeah.
get the crisp looks, and that's kind of where we excel. There's some figuring out the lighting for each application can oftentimes be an R&D project in itself.
In itself, yeah, I can see that.
And that's one of the reasons the architects come to us for the mock-ups, because not only do you want it to look good during the day, you want it to look good during the night, and the night look and the day look with the illumination can often vary a lot.
Oh, big time, big time.
So having your brand colors, a good example is these guys. They had a couple brand colors. This is their brand colors on their PMS colors from their design group, but they want to see, hey, this is our design color at night, but when we light it up, it's not the same color. So we can print the digital print to be darker, so it's the brand color with the light on. With the light off, it's dark, but they keep the light on 24/7 in their lobby.
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
want to keep it illuminated.
Yeah,
So there's this same color, but it's two different colors when you add light. So finding that balance for the customer and their branding
yeah.
is big for them.
So, back to that, like trending styles, so on and so forth.
Exterior signs.
Exterior,
You'll see
yeah.
a lot of Corten or weathered steel look is
Okay.
real big on exterior signs.
Because that patina over time gives it a little luster and character, right?
They love the patina, and that's something that we're not scared to work with. A lot of traditional sign companies
Yeah.
only want to work with aluminum.
Why is that? Cost or appearance?
There's cost, weight. It's easier to work with, softer to cut. So, not having.
Aluminum.
I think part of it as well is that when you're doing an assembly line, keeping the same material types, you have your same weld settings, you have your same paint process, you have your same materials that you can match up when you go. And we can create different patinas on aluminum, but a lot of times
It's like
people want the real steel.
Yeah, it's not natural. It's kind of what do you say?
Well, we've got it pretty good. Next time I'll bring
Created.
some samples and
Yeah.
let me see if you can tell me the difference.
Oh, really? Okay, I'd love to. So, see that wood fire sign over there that my father made for his business. He did the live edge cedar, cut it out, did his logo as a cutout. Behind it, put copper. That thing, his patina is all like get out, and it's totally rad, right? The behind is like almost like a picture frame. So, in kind of repurposing and bringing that thing back to life, like it was fun because, I got to put the oil back into the wood. I got to reback it. I got to kind of see the bones of that sign that was hanging over his entryway right when he walked in. I mean, so it's kind of cool to have that there. Eventually, I want it floating from the rafter here.
Oh, we can make that happen.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing this session with him, so I can get some free labor. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, into my other business, you did that awesome illuminated, sign that stayed lit, right? And as the passerbys went by, they were seeing it, and it's just like kind of, what's the question? What is that? I'm curious now. So you had said one thing, a tagline or a talking point. I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'd love to hear it out of your mouth because you're the one that said it, so you have the reason behind it. But I want you to share it with the public. Like, a business with no
sign is a sign of no business. and
He's right.
We laugh about it because it's a funny saying, but it's
true.
Pretty true. Different industries, I think it can mean more than others. For instance, retail, what you're trying to get people in and what reasons they're going.
Sure.
When you're talking about architectural products or entryways, monument signs, pylons, you definitely want something to differentiate, to stand out while still looking classy and representing your brand.
Your brand, but also the aesthetic of the area you're developed in, right? And we're seeing these ever changing, right? I mean, the engineers, the architects, they're repurposing the heights, like where you're seeing all these pop-ups of these arboretums, micro arboretums, if you will, and whatnot. So I mean, it's an ever-changing process, right?
The trail signs, walkways,
yes.
Those are
and Katie, those are everywhere.
a lot of the developers. I think they were onto this before the pandemic, but the pandemic may have accelerated. Hey, why drive? Why live in the city and have all these amenities when you can live farther away from downtown and still have the amenities or even greater? So a lot of the developers are incorporating walking trails, running trails, parks, the spaces that you can engage with.
Yeah, like commonplace areas. I mean, just social settings, right?
And all of those require some form of wayfinding. And I will say that they may seem run of the mill, but a lot of these exterior trail sign packages, interactive areas, that's the word I was thinking of, really neat designs coming out these days. A lot of neat ideas. A lot of those are incorporating another trendy thing with those. And it's a park, a walking trail, wood elements to the sign.
Yep.
And we can do different stains and finishes, rough cedar, smooth cedar, or whatever wood you're working with. That's kind of piggybacks on this, what I was saying earlier, between the different specialties that go into it. We also, plastics, metals, woods, vinyl prints, paints, and the lighting that goes together. That's one of the neat things about it.
It's a vibe.
Having all of those different.
It really is, bro.
Material. Some material science to it.
Yeah. I say Cane Island's a great example. My brother's in that neighborhood.
I've looked at those signs.
So you go in, but what really cool is they have like their commonplace indicators, if you will. They have that netted structure that ivy was planted to grow through it to kind of give it that third tone, like the earthy tone that you're seeing. And it's super cool because it just kind of tells a story in itself. And to everybody, it doesn't hurt to put your phone in your pocket and use those signs to guide you where you need to be and open your eyes a little bit and be out in the real world and in nature and breathing it all in,
And that's a great example of some neat communities the developers are doing these days. They have the interactive spaces. They just have beautiful entry features that make you feel like you're coming into a unique individual community.
Exactly. And it promotes people wanting to be outside. And, God forbid you have to put your phone up and you can actually use signage or directional.
Wayfinding.
Yes, man. Okay, I can tell that the pavilion's over here because there's a sign that says it. I don't have to pull my phone out.
Oh yeah, we'll do distance markers so you know how far you're walking.
Yeah.
We have alligator signs in case you don't go in the water. They have interactive signs. The kids walk by, they play with. They can hit a spinner or
speaking
climb
of that,
a pole.
where do you see that industry going as far as like just interactive? And I think when I was looking at this commercial property out in Arkansas. He placed a massive share of his equity or value on his signage that he had there. And he was talking about the height and the video board's capabilities of how that set him apart. And so, like, explain to me, because me being, in the commercial real estate, I'm looking at it to, stabilize the asset and sell it for him. But I didn't see, like, that sign of, like, how I would market it as someone that didn't know a whole lot about it.
How's he basing the value on that? And there's a few reasons. There's a few things that go into that. If you, for example, on 290, we have a scenic zone. So all new signs can only be 25 feet tall or so. Don't hold me to that.
Okay.
But if you have an older business that had a 42-foot sign, 42 and a half is the limit in the city of Houston.
Got it.
It grandfathers in. So if you own a parcel that has the existing signage, then that is a huge benefit, because you're getting something that's taller and bigger than everybody else around you, and you're getting a sign that in today's dollars would cost probably a six-figure deal to do a 42-foot pylon sign.
Good Lord.
So, and then, you also, there's the sign itself, there's the grandfathering in, and then there's the video board. The video board side of it is we do a lot. We don't do a whole lot of video boards, but I've done a lot of ROI calculators on them, and that's a big part of the sales pitch with the video boards. Is especially with commercial real estate multi-tenant setup.
Yeah,
so you can
monetize it, right?
Exactly. You can rent. Hey, I've got 10 tenants. If you want to put your ad on my video board, I can run it these times. These are the high traffic times. And with the video boards and the technology, the user interfaces, you can do a lot of the content control from your office.
And that's wild. I mean, do you see the surge coming in that way or that direction? Or, I mean, you know,
different jurisdictions or cities,
they all have different policies and whatnot.
Where we are in most big cities, they're not going to allow you to run video. In the city of Houston, you can change the image every.
Thank God.
Yes.
Our drivers here are already bad at it.
There's a lot of distractions. We don't need any more. For the city of Houston, you can have the image for 5 minutes, and then you get a 10-second moving image to the next image. And that's how the permitting or the ordinance is written in Houston. But most large cities are going to have a no video ordinance written in their code.
I'm siding with Kristen right now about like these road trips with you. I can see you doing that. Like you just like, will you please watch the road, Lamar? I can totally see that. I mean, but dude, you appreciate it. And
sometimes I'm still surprised. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was rambling.
Sometimes I'll like, I saw that sign once and we're driving back. I'm like, I got to pull over and look at this because it's so curious to me. How did they figure out how to get that look out of that sign?
Okay.
Because cracking the code is a big part of it, of the means and methods to bring that vision to life.
For sure.
So I'm always learning.
Well, that's good. I mean, that still means that you're passionate about your industry, and before we go, I just want to kind of like really hit home on process. And I was looking at it here from start to finish. I know you have 3 bullet points on here, but just kind of like let them know, not to create a sense of urgency, but priority placement increase for these new business owners.
Yeah, I think it's something they need to take into account from the very beginning. For one reason, the last thing you want to do is to be up against the wall with your sign, because you're going to end up with something that you don't ultimately like, and it's a significant investment.
Correct.
But and it's important to let people know when they're looking to do it that there is a significant process. You don't. Oftentimes, I have customers that come to me because the sign's the last thing to go in, so they addressed it. From the end. But from our process from the start to beginning is to give everybody an idea of the timeline and what goes into it. A couple weeks for artwork and design. A standard permit, if everything goes smooth, is going to be a couple weeks. Depending on the size and scope of the sign, we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks to 8 weeks to 10 weeks on a huge package just to manufacture.
10 weeks.
If you're looking at like,
do you hear that, owners? This is like your build out like allowance, your tenant improvement time. you don't want to be finally paying rent after you've built everything out with a business open without a sign. So I mean, like that's just a strong consideration that they just need to have. I mean, I didn't think 10 weeks.
Right.
They probably all don't, do they?
No.
They're like, hey, a couple weeks.
And it's always that way, and it's important to get at it from the beginning too, because there's going to, with the overlap with other trades. Hey, we're going to need some special concrete or masonry work.
That's true.
We're going to need some. Here's your electrical requirements.
Yes, man.
Because having that change order for them to come back and do all of that to accommodate the sign is time and money.
Well, especially on the interiors, right? Because you probably want to be there when the sheetrocks are off the wall and it's down to the studs, so you can tell them where to run these, because they don't want an interior sign with a plug hanging 10 feet to the right,
right, and
keeping that thing lit, right?
And if it's like a building facade, we want to be in there. Hey, we need a piece of plywood in between the studs and the sheetrock because we need something to put our
the supports,
for supports. Electrical requirements. So, from that, I guess that kind of process overview is a big part of it, because just like you said, people don't realize everything that goes into it. And when you're doing the creative process on your own, if you say you're going to buy a car, you're like, hey, what options do I want? What do I do here?
You're doing your research.
And people don't think about that till they're at the stage to do it. Getting in front of it is going to be a huge advantage.
So I know where you guys, like, you understand if I were something like, say, a restaurant in a nice Class A development, do you have like a formula or a pricing theory to say what percentage of your build out budget to allocate to like your signage?
Or
a rule of thumb, if you will.
That's a good question. Usually we like to, when we sit down and consult and go over their branding and what they're looking to do, we look for a budget.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely some factors that could increase the price of the sign exponentially and not provide
significant like curb appeal.
Right. Some, the down on Westheimer, steakhouses, nice restaurants, they're gonna be more willing to pay an exponential amount for a really fine product. Whereas a storage unit, what they're looking to do is brightness, visibility, and readability.
Yeah.
Whereas with the high-end steakhouse or restaurant, you're looking for something that it kind of embodies the vibe.
Out. Yeah, embodies the vibe for sure. Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. Plus your competition level, your saturation of the market in that certain area.
And I will say that on the higher end, higher price point signs, sometimes it's going to be a longer lead time and a longer collaboration time with the designers and architect, because you're getting into a little bit more minutia and nuance with the different options, capabilities, final looks. And the more complicated you get, the more challenging the means and methods are to put it all together.
Especially if you're like, I mean, just to create that mock-up, you're not looking at any quick 24-hour turnaround.
Right, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, the mock-up involved the graphics, the paint, the routers, the fabricators. Just for a little mock-up, we've got a half dozen people putting hands on it.
Jeez. So, I mean, thanks for just coming and educating me, and anybody signing a lease, as far as like a priority on a numbered list.
Oh, I'd say, guys signing a lease, developers, architects, creatives, facilities maintenance guys, reach out to us, rsindustrialarts.com.
Yeah. And we'll have your website up here. And as far as any like local trade shows that you guys participate in or that are educational, do you have any that you'd recommend that are great? Just as far as that space to where they can like get a good idea of what options are out there.
We have some industry groups that we work with or we're members of. We do travel and do the conventions like most sales guys. Healthcare.
Schools,
construction,
college
developers,
campuses.
schools, designers. We'll do those. I would say the best place to come is to our shop.
Yeah.
You know, we love giving tours, showing off our
Oh,
capabilities.
that's awesome.
And that really helps, you know, before we even get to the mock-up stage.
Yeah.
A lot of times we have the guys in there and they're seeing things and our samples and what our capabilities are, and it really helps stoke their imagination and get an idea of, oh man, well, what about this? What about this? We can really go through and really whittle down to what they're really looking for.
Yeah.
So I would say anybody that's in the that's looking or thinking about it, give us a shout. We'll give you the tour, and
That's awesome, man. And
go from there.
Yeah, and it's funny. One of your you know your partners or one of the founders of the company I went to high school with.
Oh,
Hadn't
yeah.
seen him, and
Yeah.
I mean that's awesome to me.
Small world, man. Amarillo and Houston.
Super small world. The one thing that I like last ask is, you know,
What up,
logo
Clifton?
design. if they haven't even like created a logo, I mean, can you guys help out with that, or are they still on their own to get their artwork done and then bring it to you for mock up? Or I mean, can you guys even help with that process, like logo creation?
You know, logo creation, also another aspect of the signage industry. I would say we can, our specialty is bringing your vision to life,
Yeah.
helping you find your vision. We can consult with you on that. But I would say that,
Still kind of source that more than likely.
yes, I think we kind of say this a lot in the business. We can make you anything you want. You just got to tell us what it is. But that being said,
Funny but true. I mean, yeah.
that being said, we want to be the guys that you can come to with your vision, and we can consult with you and tell you what the capabilities are and what we can do and what the limitations are.
Yeah.
If we came up with logos and designs, they would be coming from our fabrication influence. So we may be a little bit subjective on your logo.
Sure.
So, because we're going to be thinking of things like, how do you connect the dot of the I to the I?
Yes.
And the means and methods, and a lot
But
of
that
times,
is important.
yeah. So a lot of times, if we're gonna take
It may
that,
look cool on a computer screen, but it may be hard as hell. To
and
make a
we're
sign
thinking
out of it.
about that, if we were gonna design a logo, we've
Yeah.
done it before. We can do it, but we like to start with a vision that you have and work from there, instead of coming up with a vision and then working from there.
Yeah, and I think that would be a great like follow-up episode, is just kind of going in there and saying, you know, kind of not talking about design fails, but you know, great ideas that just weren't brought to life in the right sense. And then others of maybe basic common ideas that y'all put the RS industrial touch on, and showing some examples of that. So
I'd love to, man. And we love showing them off. You know, it never gets old.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like just the wide array of what signage can do. I mean, you know, everyone says signage, they're thinking, you know, billboards, high, whatever. But I think when I rode out to Rockport with you and we started like way in the north side of town, I covered a big bit of geography in Houston with you. And, you know, I saw restaurant signs you did. I saw neighborhood signs you did. And it was just kind of not overwhelming, but just very impressive on the scope of work that you guys can do. And I now know why you wanted to partner up with this company and just focus on more of the creative flow and originality behind it.
Man, it is really neat bringing those visions and ideas to life. And you're right, it's the sign business does encompass a lot, and that's why we like to, you know, stay in our lane, stay what we like to do.
Sure.
Use our talent and our specialties. You know, that being said, the talent and the individual specialties we have in our shop, you can make just about anything. So that sometimes is the challenge for us. Lamar, we're here. We can do that stuff, but our specialty is putting all these together for your architectural product or sign. While I could make all that, it wouldn't be our specialty, so we wouldn't be as efficient. And that's sometimes where I got to stay. to stay in the lane.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd love to.
Now y'all are a specialist in monuments.
Right. Oh man, hey, I saw this on Pinterest.
Yeah.
We can make that. Can we make those? Well, yeah, we can, Lamar.
We can, but you know.
What about this on Etsy? This thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like, well, we can make that, but how do you make it at scale? How do you make it
profitable? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want those guys that are experts at their craft just sitting there with nothing to do because you're out selling neon signs that are hard to compete with because I mean, like, think about it. Like, as you see, the general public will go and they'll go on Instagram and see a neon that you can throw up against a wall, and to the general public, it's difficult to explain the differences that are justifications of a significant price increase, if you will.
It's almost like the difference between you see a banner on the wall and then you see the regular sign. They both say the same thing, but one of them looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, that's right. It belongs. Well, thanks for coming and joining us, dude. Today.
Oh man, thanks for having me. This is great. I love this. This is great, man. I'm excited.
Fun. It's been fun. I look forward to the next one, educating us more about just the styles of signs. And so,
looking forward to it.
We'll get together soon. But y'all go check out your website,
rsindustrialarts.com.
Bang bang. And then we've also got some work throughout the episode that we're showing of Lamar's history in this industry. So thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you, Pablo.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Kevin.
good one.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Till next time, guys.